Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the SpringBoot exercise. I created this with the Spring Initializer and I used Maven. Maven is a package manager that allows Maven to pull down the dependencies for us. We go over here to my POM file. You can see I have a parent dependency here, and then I picked two others. I picked the SpringWeb and SpringBoot DevTools. Moving on to the tree, you can see there's a lot of packages here. Inside of the main package, we have our SpringBoot X application. If we go over here, you can see that there's a main method in here that is calling the Spring application, and so that's going to allow SpringBoot to actually run this application for us. The next package is the .services package, and that is our current state class. Inside of that, we have an array list of strings called data. The next is the .models, which is our info class. All right, we have the annotation at component, and that allows Spring to detect our custom beans. So it scans the whole application for any class annotated with that, and it instantiates them and injects the dependencies. We created two different data types here: integer index and string value. You notice with integer, it's a wrapper class, and the reasoning behind that is the wrapper gives us a way to use primitive data types and it converts it to an object. Things like the array list can't use primitive data types, so we have to have a wrapper class pass them in its objects. So that's the reasoning behind that. We have our default constructor here, and the purpose of this is it's needed for Spring to run. We have to have it. There's also a toString, and then of course our constructor with index and value as the arguments are passed into that. And then under that, there's the getters and setters. The next package is the .controllers, which is our important. And in here you can see at-rest controllers, and this is an annotation that combines the at-controller and at-response body, and that essentially eliminated the need to insert at-response body everywhere. And from my understanding too, the at-rest controller, it's a component that contains the routes for our application. Here we have at-post mapping, so that is the post or create portion. It's going to allow us to add our information here. So this is getting the size. We're going to add to the array, set the value, and this is all. This is the first part of the CRUD. So this is the create portion. The next one is get. So this is the read at get mapping. We have an array list, created an array list data, and we have a for loop here for the get, and that allows us to read, or the R portion, or the get, excuse me, or the read portion of CRUD. Then we have put, which is update. So here we created a modify and gave it a value of info.getIndex, and just making sure this is a valid index here, just a little conditional statement, and this is actually allowing us to modify it and then printing it out. Of course, we're going to return everything that has a value to it. And of course delete, which is the delete portion of CRUD. This one I played around with a little bit. I think I misunderstood the instructions, so I kind of overcomplicated it. But anyways, this is the code that I have. I left this all commented out. There's no need for it now, and I honestly I could clean this up a little bit too. The arguments are not needed as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and run this. You can see our Spring initialize is here, and I'm going to move Postman in front of the screen. And if you just look to the bottom, you can see. All right, so going here to post, I'm going to start creating some indexes here, and as I add them, you can see them come show up in the console, incrementing by 1. And if I want to change one of those, say I want to change index 1 to work, I'll do that, and then I'll go hit my GET request. Alright, so then now you can see they're added, modified index 1 to work, and then with my GET, I pulled up the data, and we can see now that index 1 does have a value of work. Say I don't like that, so I want to delete that. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. See that's been deleted. And just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and get that again. And as you can see, the current data does not reflect index 1 having a value of work. And I believe that concludes my video. This was a fun exercise, and I felt like I learned quite a bit from it. See you in the next one. Bye.